Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video I will show you how to consume web API into MVC to develop the CRUD functionality, create, update and delete using Entity Framework. And here we got the final output. Right now we got two records in the table. Let's check in the database table also. Execute. So here we got only two records in this table, new EMP reg, Charan and Peter. Let's create a new one. Let's insert new one, create new. The employee name is Ben. Employee email ben@gmail.com. The location is Australia. Employee designation is software engineer. Let's create. And here we got our new employee details. Ben is added successfully. Let's check in the database table. I'm executing the table again. Execute. See, here we got the Ben details. Let's update the Ben details. Ben, edit. The Ben name I'm changing to Ben White. Save. Notice here the employee name is updated. Before it was Ben, now Ben White is updated. Let's check in the database table also. Right now we got the Ben. Right now the employee ID 3 is only Ben. When I execute, see here Ben White. Now let's check the details of the Peter. Here we got the Peter details. Back to list. Let's delete the Ben details. Delete. See, the Ben has been deleted successfully from the data table. Let's check in the table also. Execute. So notice we got a new output. Now we don't have the employee name Ben White. It's deleted successfully from this table. That's it. We have implemented the web API to create the CRUD functionality in MVC using Entity Framework. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before writing the coding part in web API to develop the CRUD functionality, first we'll create a new table in SQL Server Management Studio. I just logged into my SQL Server Management Studio. I'm expanding the root folder as well as databases. I want to create a new table in this CM database. Right click, select the CM database, right click the mouse, new query. Now let's write the statement to create a table. Create table. The table name is new EMP reg is a table name. Now let's add the column names. EMP ID, integer type, not null. Primary key, I'm adding the identity column 1, 1. The second one is the EMP name and varchar 150. The third column, employee location and varchar 150. Employee email and varchar 150. And the last one, I'm adding the employee designation. Employee designation and varchar 150. Let's execute the statement to create a table. Execute. And here we got a message, command completed successfully. Let's check this table, new EMP reg, is table is created or not. I'm expanding the same folder as well as the tables. And here we got the new EMP reg is a table is created in this CM database. Let's browse the table, select the table name, right click the mouse, select top 1000 rows. And here we got the results of this newly created table, new EMP reg, which contains right now 0 rows. Let's implement the CRUD functionality in this table to create, update and delete functionality using Web API in MVC with Entity Framework. For this video tutorial, I'm creating a new Web API application. Go to File, New, Project. And from the web templates, I'm selecting ASP.NET Web Application, and the .NET Framework I'm using 4.6.1. The application name is Web API MVC CRUD. Create, update and delete is the project name. Click OK. And from the ASP.NET templates, I'm selecting Web API. Click OK. And the project is created successfully. Let's close this default window. Open Solution Explorer. First, in this project, I am adding ADO.NET Entity Data Model. Right click the project name, add. I'm selecting ADO.NET Entity Data Model. Let's give the meaningful name to this entity model, EMP. Click OK. And from the model contents, I'm selecting the first option, EF Designer from database. Click Next. Let's create a new connection. The server name, I'm adding my SQL server name. After adding SQL server name, next I'm selecting the database name. The table I have created in this CM database, so I have selected CM. Test connection is succeeded. OK, OK. And here we got the connection string. The connection string name is a CM entities, and I'm saving this connection string in the web.config file. After that, click Next. Now let's expand the tables folder as well as DBO. The table name is a new user, new EMP reg. I have selected. The table name is a new EMP reg. This one. Click Finish. And here the entity model is added to our project. Let's close this output message box. After adding the entity model, next open Solution Explorer, minimize the references folder. Let's add a new class in this models folder. Right click the models folder, add class. Let's give the class name EMP class. Click Add. And here we got our EMP class. Now in this class, I'm adding public int. The column names are EMP ID, EMP name, email, location and designation. Let's add those ones. EMP ID, get set, public string, EMP name, get set, public string. The next column name is EMP email, EMP email, get set, public string, EMP location, get set, and the last column is the EMP designation, public string, EMP designation. After adding the properties to this EMP class, next let's add the semicolon here. After adding the properties to this EMP class, next open Solution Explorer. Let's add a new Web API controller in this controllers folder. Select the controllers folder, right click the mouse, add, select the controller. And I'm selecting the Web API 2 controller empty. The controller name is emp CRUD is my web API controller name. Add. And here we got our API controller. Now in this API controller, first I'm adding the namespace using web API, the project name dot models folder, and next I'm adding public HTTP action result get method, get emp. This get emp method to display all the records from the database. So first in this get emp method I'm adding CM entities is my connection string entity name. CM is equals to new CM entities. After that, variable results is equals to CM dot. The table name is a new emp reg is a table object name. Then toList method. A return in the return OK method. I'm adding results. This one. That's it. We have written the code in this action result to fetch the records from this new emp reg table. Now before consume this web API into MVC, we require the URL of this web API. For that, let's browse Google Chrome. And here we got the default output of the project, which is a home page. Now we require the web API after the domain name to the localhost /API / our web API controller name is the emp CRUD. Let's copy that one, the controller name, and add here. Enter. And here we got the results of this web API URL. It's showing 0 records. The reason we don't have any records in this table, new emp reg. Let's insert some values. Select the table name and click the mouse. Edit top 200 rows. Let's enter some records. emp ID is the auto generate column, so I'm not adding anything. The employee name is Charan. Employee email ID is charan@gmail.com, and the employee location Hyderabad, and the designation is a blogger. Let's execute the table. Execute. Right now this table contains one record, Charan. Let's check in the web API URL. I'm reloading the browser. See, here we got the results after adding a record into this table. We got the Charan details in this web API. Now let's consume this web API into MVC. Switch back to the Visual Studio. Stop debugging. Open Solution Explorer. In the same controllers folder, I'm adding MVC controller. Right click the controllers folder, add controller. This time I'm selecting MVC file controller empty, add. The controller name is CRUD. Is my MVC controller name, add. And here we got our MVC controller CRUD. Now in this action result index, I'm consuming the web API. So first, I'm adding the namespaces using the web API, the project name .models folder. After that, I'm implementing HTTP client to consume the web API. So we require the namespace using system.net.http namespace. After that, in the action result index, I'm adding IEnumerable. In this IEnumerable, I am adding the out T type table name. I'm adding the table name is a new emp reg is a table name. Let's create the table emp object is equals to null http client. HC is an object, new http client. HC dot base address is equals to new URI between double quotes. In this URI I'm adding my web URL. Web API URL. Let's copy that one, paste here, semicolon. After we got the base address, let's consume API is equals to hc.getAsync method. In the getAsync method between double quotes I am adding the web API emp CRUD is a web API controller name. Then consume API dot wait method. After we consume the API, now we read the data. Variable read data is equals to consume API dot result property. If read data dot is success status code, if the data is read successfully from the API, I want to display. For that I am declaring another variable, display data is equals to read data dot content dot read as async ilist. In this ilist I am adding the type of elements we are getting from the table name, new emp reg. Then display data dot wait method that records I want to display first in this emp object. Emp object is equals to display data dot result property. Then in the return view I am adding this IEnumerable object. That's it. We have added the code in this action result index to fetch the records from the new emp reg table using web API. Now to display the records we need the index view page. But before adding the index view page to the project, the most important, we must build the application first. Build solution. And here we got a message, the project built successfully. Let's close this output message box. Right click the mouse, select the add view. The view name is index only. The template is a list template I'm selecting, and the model class I'm adding our table name, new emp reg, and the data context class I'm adding CM entities. Click add, and here we got our index view page. Now before run this application, the most important, we have to change the controller name in the route config.cs file. Open Solution Explorer. In the project there is a app_start folder, expand that one. Route config.cs file, open that one. And notice here the controller is a home, which is a default one. I'm deleting that one. Our controller name is CRUD. I'm adding MVC controller name in the route config.cs file, the controller name, and the action result is the index only, which is this page, index view page. Now let's check the results. Google Chrome, and here we got the results of the index view page, displaying the records from the table. Right now the table contains only the children record, and also notice there is an action link for the create, edit, details and delete are automatically added when I chosen the list template. Now let's implement the CRUD functionality. When a user wants to add a new record, create new, here it's showing some error, the resource cannot found. because we don't have any create view page, and also we have not written any web API to create the records, to insert the records. So let's implement. Stop debugging, switch to the web API. This is the API controller. I'm adding the method called public HTTP action result. I'm adding the method name emp insert. I'm adding the method HTTP post. So HTTP post method to insert the records. Now in this function I'm adding new emp reg is a table name. I'm adding emp insert is the object. Let's insert the records. We require the CM entities object name. So what I'm doing, instead of adding this connection string entity, I'm adding at the top, so I don't require to add this line again and again. So I'm adding directly the object of this CM entities. CM dot, the table name is new emp regis dot add method. In this add method I'm adding this emp insert. After that, CM dot save changes method. Then the last step, return OK method. That's it. This is a simple code to insert the record we have written in the web API. Now let's consume this web API into MVC controller. Let's open controller name, MVC controller name. I'm adding the new action result, public action result create, return view, and this action result is get and the next action result for the HTTP post method. In this action result create method I'm adding the table name new emp reg insert emp is an object, HTTP client hc is equals to new HTTP client, hc dot base address is equals to new URI. In this URI between double quotes I am adding our web API URL name, which is this one. Just copy this part, paste here. Once we got the base address, after we got the base address, let's insert the record. Variable insert record is equals to hc dot post as JSON async. In this JSON async, the T type I'm adding the new emp reg, the table name. After that, and this parameter takes two parameters. One is a string request URI, so between double quotes the request URI, the web URI is the emp CRUD, comma, and the second one is the value of the new emp reg. The value is insert emp. Copy this one and paste here. Then insert record dot wait method. After we insert the record, let's save the record. Variable save data is equals to insert record dot result property if save data dot is success status code. If the records are saved successfully, I want to return redirect to action between double quotes. The action name is a index view page, index semicolon, and the return view between double quotes, I'm adding the action result create. That's it. We have consumed the web API into this MVC to create a new record, to insert the records. Now build the application, and here we got a message build succeeded. Let's close this output message box. Now let's create a create view page. Select the action result create method, right click the mouse, add view. The view name is create only, and the template, I'm selecting the create template. The model class, here I'm adding the model class. The table name is a new EMP reg, and the data context class is a CM entities. Add. And here we got our create view page to insert the new records into a table. So let's check the output again. Index.cshtml, Google Chrome. And here we got a new output after adding the create view page. Now right now we have in the index view page. Before, when I tried to open the create page, we got an error, the page resource not found. Now when I click create new, see here we got a new create page to insert the records. Now let's enter some EMP records, EMP name. Let's add the EMP name peter@gmail.com. The EMP location London, and designation is a programmer. Create. And see here, after we successfully insert the record, it redirects to the index view page. Let's check in the database. Right now this table contains, it's showing only one record, Charan. Let's execute the table again. And here we got a new results with the Peter record. Just now we have added using web API in MVC. Now then my next target is edit details and delete. Now let's add the functionality to check the details of the particular employee record. And switch back to the coding part, stop debugging, switch to the web API. Now let's add the functionality to get the selected employee record. For that I'm adding another HTTP action result, which is a get EMP ID. To get the employee details of a particular employee record, we need the employee ID. So let's add the integer type ID here. Then let's add the class EMP class. EMP details is equals to null. EMP details is equals to CM dot, which is a connection string object, new EMP regis dot where clause. In this where clause I'm adding the lambda expression x dot the employee ID double equals to ID in this variable here dot select. In the select the expression x colon new, I'm adding EMP class. Now between this curly braces I'm adding EMP ID is equals to x dot EMP ID comma EMP name is equals to x dot EMP name comma EMP email is equals to x dot EMP email. EMP designation is equals to x dot EMP designation, and the last one is EMP location is equals to x dot EMP location. and let's check it's in the same order or not. Location and designation. So copy this one, comma, paste here, dot, first or default I'm adding EMP class, semicolon. If EMP details is double equals to null, if the records are not found, return not found method. If the records are found, return OK method. I'm adding EMP details, this object. That's it. We have written the code to get the particular employee record using employee ID. Now let's consume this web API in MVC. In the MVC controller, I'm adding the new action result details. And the details I'm adding integer ID. Let's add the class name here. EMP class EMP object is equals to null, semicolon. HTTP client HC is equals to new HTTP client. HC.base address is equals to new URI method. New URI is a method which takes a parameter and the URL, semicolon. After we got the base address, let's consume variable consume API is equals to hc.getAsync method. The getAsync method takes a parameter string request URI. So between double quotes, the request URI, the web URI, the web API name I'm adding here, question mark, ID is equals to plus ID dot toString method. Consume API dot wait method. After we consume the data, let's read the data is equals to consume API dot result property. After we read the data, if read data dot is success status code, if the data is read successfully, I want to display, and display data is equals to read data dot content dot read as async. The read as async I'm adding the class name EMP class. Then display data dot wait method. Then I'm adding the EMP object. EMP object is equals to display data dot result property. Then, and the last step, I'm adding the return view method. In the return view object, I'm adding this EMP class object. That's it. We have written the code. This one is a question mark. That's it. We have consumed the web API into this MVC to fetch the particular employee record. Now, before adding the details view page to this project, let's build the application. Build solution. And here we got a message, build succeeded. Let's close this output message box. Select the details action result method. Right click the mouse, add view. The view name is details, the template, I'm selecting the details template. The model class, I'm adding Our class name is EMP class. I'm selecting that one. I don't require this data context class. Add. And here we got our details view page. Now let's check the output. Index.cshtml, Google Chrome. And here we got a new output after adding the details functionality. Let's check the particular details. The challenge details I want. So here we got the challenge details here. Back to list. Now let's check the Peter details. And here we got the Peter details. Back to list. Now the leftover, the edit and delete functionality. Now let's add the functionality to edit the record. Switch back to the coding part. Stop debugging. Switch to the web API. And this is the API controller. In this API controller, I am adding the functionality public HTTP action result. The put is a keyword to edit the records. I am adding the class name EMP class EC. Now declare a variable update EMP is equals to, let's add the object name of the connection string, which is a cm dot the new EMP regis dot where class x colon x dot EMP ID double equals to EC dot EMP ID dot first or default. I'm adding the table name new EMP reg. If update EMP is not equals to null, which means if the records are found, then we can able to update that particular record. Update EMP dot EMP ID is equals to EC dot EMP ID semicolon. The next column name EMP name is equals to EC dot EMP name semicolon. Update EMP dot I require the EMP location. The next column name EC dot EMP location. Update EMP dot EMP designation. The last column name EC dot EMP designation. EMP designation semicolon. Then let's save the update record cm dot save changes method. If the records are not found, I return. I'm adding not found method. The last step, return OK method. That's it. We have written the code to update the selected employee details in web API using put method. Now let's consume this web API put method in MVC. Switch to the controller. Public action result. I'm adding the edit template. The first one is let's copy this one, paste here. We require two methods for the edit. The first action result edit method is a get edit method, and this get edit method is before update the records. First we require the employee details. So first we get the employee details, then in this action result we'll update the record. So in the action result edit, I'm adding int id. So instead of writing the same code, I'm adding which we have already written in the details action link. So I'm just copying that part. Now in this action result edit, which is the HTTP post to update the record, emp class ec HTTP client sc is equals to new HTTP client sc.base address is equals to new URI. This URI method takes a string parameter. I'm adding the insert. So copy this one, paste here, so what I'm doing, instead of writing the same code to insert the records, I'm copying this part, paste here, sorry, not this one, on this part, copy this one, paste here, and here EC, and in this new emp res I'm adding the emp class. Here we are not posting the data. We have to put, instead of post as JSON async dot put as JSON async. And notice this one, instead of I'm adding post as JSON async, I have added put as JSON async. That's it. The rest of the thing is the same. And the if condition else, if the records are not found or saved successfully, I want to display the message. For that I'm using viewback.message is equals to employee record not updated. And the final step in the return view, instead of create, I'm adding this object EC. Copy this one and paste here. That's it. We have written the code to update the employee details. We require the edit view page. So build the application first. And the project builds successfully. Let's close the output message box. Highlight the action result edit, right click the mouse, add view. The view name is edit only in the template. I'm selecting the edit template, the model class. I'm adding emp class, where it is, here is the emp class, and I don't require this data context class here. Click add, and here we got our edit view page. Now come to the bottom after the saved records, h1, and the h1 tag I'm adding sorry, not this one, mp CRUD, the view back message at viewback.message. That's it. We have done the coding part to update the employee details. Let's check the output. Index.cshtml, Google Chrome. And here we got a new output after we adding the edit functionality. Let's edit the Peter details. Edit. See, here we got the employee ID to Peter. Let's edit the Peter, the location, instead of London, I'm changing to Mumbai. save. And here we got a new output. Notice the Peter, the employee location. Before it was London, now it's Mumbai. Now the last step we require, and one more thing here, and one more thing, if you go to details and I click edit, see here we got an error message. The parameter dictionary contains a null entry for parameter ID. So to fix this, again switch back to the coding part, stop debugging, and switch to the details.cshtml, come to the bottom. Here just remove this part, model dot employee ID. That's it. Now let's check the output. Index.cshtml, Google Chrome. Now let's check the details of the Peter. Now let's edit. See here we are successfully redirecting the edit page. Before we got an error. Now the last step, back to the list. The leftover is the delete functionality. So let's finish that one also. Switch to the coding part, stop debugging. Go to Web API controller. In the Web API controller, I'm adding the new action result, public HTTP action result. The action result name is the delete. To delete the particular record, we require the ID. So I'm adding the data type int ID. So let's write the functionality to delete the record. Variable empdel is equals to, let's add the object name of the connection string cm dot. The table name is a new emp address, where the where class I'm adding the lambda expression x dot employee ID double equals to ID, this variable dot first or default method. After we got the particular employee record, let's cm dot entry method. In this entry method I'm adding empdel dot state is equals to system dot data dot entity dot entity state dot deleted. After we delete the particular selected record, then we have to save the table, cm dot save changes method. And the last step, return OK method. That's it. We have added the delete functionality also in this web API. Let's consume this web API delete functionality in the MVC controller. For that, let's add the new action result, public action result delete int ID. Now in this action result delete, HTTP client h is equals to new HTTP client hc dot base address is equals to new URI method. The URI method I'm adding the web URL method, URI semicolon. After we got the base address, hc dot del record is equals to hc dot delete async takes the delete async method I'm adding the web API controller name / plus id.toString method. It's a particular ID I want to delete. Semicolon. This one not, let's say here the variable dull record, then dull record dot wait method. After we delete the record, display the new data. Variable display data is equals to del record dot result property if display data dot is select success status score. Once the record is deleted from the table, I want to display the updated table details. For that, return redirect to action. The action name is a index page. I want to redirect to index page only. Return view between double quotes. I'm adding index semicolon. That's it. I'm not adding any view page for this delete. So let's check the final output. Build the application fast. And here we got a message build succeeded. Let's close the output message box. Switch to the index.cshtml, Google Chrome. And here we got the final output. Right now we got 2 records in the table. Let's check in the database table also. Execute. See, here we got only 2 records in this table, new EMP reg, Sharon and Peter. Sharon and Peter. Let's create a new one. Let's insert new one, create new. The employee name is Ben. Employee email ben@gmail.com. The location is Australia. Employee designation is software engineer. Let's create. And here we got our new employee details. Ben is added successfully. Let's check in the database table. I'm executing the table again. Execute. See, here we got the Ben details. Let's update the Ben details. Ben edit. The Ben name I'm changing to Ben White. Save. Notice here the employee name is updated. Before it was Ben, now Ben White is updated. Let's check in the database table also. Right now we got the Ben. Right now the employee ID 3 is only Ben. When I execute, see here Ben White. Now let's check the details of the Peter. Here we got the Peter details. Back to list. Let's delete the Ben details. Delete. See, the Ben has been deleted successfully from the data table. Let's check in the table also. Execute. So notice we got a new output. Now we don't have the employee name Ben White. It's deleted successfully from this table. That's it. We have implemented the web API to create the CRUD functionality in MVC using Entity Framework.